Maureen, we'll start with you. Talk about refugee resettlement as it pertains to Lutheran Social Service. What is that program?
Okay. Well, Lutheran Social Service, first of all, is among the largest nonprofits in Minnesota, and we serve about 100,000 people a year in Minnesota. And one of our programs is refugee resettlement. Lutheran Social Service has been around. We're celebrating our 150th birthday this year, so we're very proud of that. And we've been part of helping to resettle refugees for many years. And since 1980, the U.S. government has had a government-funded, government-organized refugee resettlement program. And there's many players in the program, but it really starts and is financed by the federal government. It's actually the President of the United States that makes a determination after consulting with Congress of how many refugees will come to our country each year. That's done usually in the fall of the year. And just to mention that for the United States currently and in recent past, it's been 70,000 refugees are resettled to the entire country this year.
And what is that number in relation to previous years? Is it usually pretty consistent?
Well, it's been quite consistent for the last 4 to 5 years at 70,000. In fact, the entire term since President Obama has been president, it's been 70,000 a year. The highest, it's actually been higher in our recent history. The highest it was in the term of Ronald Reagan, and it was around 120,000 a year.
Okay.
That's been the highest since there's been a program.
Okay. And Bill, I want you to jump in while we have you, because we have you just for the first segment. So talk about, from the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce's perspective, talk a little bit about foreign-born workers in Minnesota's workforce. What can you weigh in on this topic?
Well, I think if you visit just about any business in Minnesota, whether it's in the Twin Cities, St. Cloud, or anywhere else in the state, and it can be any kind of business, a manufacturer, a financial services firm. So regardless of location, regardless of industry, you will find immigrant workers as a part of the labor supply. I think that's a function of a couple of things. One is our state's demographics. Our domestic or native-born population is getting older, and you've got the baby boom retiring. At the same time, you've got a growing economy that needs more workers. And for reasons that I'm not sure I fully understand, the younger portions of our population, when they get to be 18 or and ready for college, they tend to leave our state and then not come back. So really, the major source of net growth in the workforce turns out to be new Americans, folks who were born outside the U.S. and have come here. And like I said, whether it's a medical device company or a construction company or a restaurant or a hospital, all industries, all levels of skill, you're going to see immigrant workers playing a key role in the success of that enterprise. And my guess is if we look ahead the next 5-10 years, the role of immigrant workers will become even more pronounced than it already is. And, I frequently get asked the question that you just asked, and I like to also remind folks that in addition to being key workers in Minnesota businesses, immigrants contribute to our economy in many other ways. They're also, for example, great entrepreneurs. And a state like Minnesota really depends quite heavily on the startup and success of new businesses. And immigrants have a great track record of doing just that. If you look at some of Minnesota's largest and most successful companies, many of them were started by individuals who were born outside the United States, or they're currently led by somebody who was born outside the U.S. So new Americans are really a great source and a very necessary source of vitality for our state's economy.
So, Bill, let me ask you this. I know this question has come up on our radio station many times. Foreign-born residents who have different religious aspects of their lives require different things when it comes to the workplace, special breaks, that sort of a thing. How do Minnesota businesses that are part of the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce, how do they balance the requirements of those folks who have different religious beliefs, as well as trying to, obviously make the entire workforce population happy? How do you balance those two things that sometimes conflict?
Well, Minnesota employers have been wrestling, if you will, with an increasingly diverse workforce, probably for 30 years now. And certainly when you bring in, immigrants from other parts of the world who bring either cultural differences or religious practices that are different, new languages, there is always a period of adjustment. But I think what the vast majority of Minnesota employers have found is that these new Americans are such great workers, and they are willing to kind of learn and roll up their sleeves and figure out a way to get the job done, that making adjustments to cultural and religious differences is worth it. It may take some time, and there may be a little bit of pain along the way, meaning people have to get to know each other and know what their practices are. But most of the employers, the vast majority of employers that I visit with, tell me that it's worth the effort, and frankly, that it is the way of the future. That if in your workforce today you haven't figured out how to accommodate folks from different cultures and different religions and with different languages, you're really behind most of the businesses in the economy today, because this world economy is increasingly part of Minnesota, and workers from all over the world, given, like I said, our state's demographics, are increasingly a part of work life in Minnesota. So really, companies don't have any choice but to adapt and to embrace the diversity that is really already upon us and likely to become an even bigger factor in the next 10 years.
All right.